At this point, I don't know why I keep doing this to myself, because if I thought The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky was upsetting, this book is straight up depressing. Hello everyone, this is Darkest Hour Reads, and today I want to do a video review of Madonna in a Fur Coat by Sabatin Ali. And even though this is absolutely tiny, it genuinely broke my heart onto like 1,000 pieces, because this is so beautifully created but also so depressing at the same time. Honestly, Sabatin Ali, you deserve hell for this, for what you put me through with this book. Before we start, I want to address the different background that I have at the moment, and also the fact that I am posting this video on a Thursday rather than a Monday. And it's because I moved apartment. So I used to live in East, in Canada Water, and now we have moved further east. Well, for like some reason with the landlord. Everything's okay, by the way, but I have moved with my flatmate and my partner again. And basically, yeah, I couldn't post because I was too busy trying to pack and unpack things during the weekend rather than actually doing things that I enjoy, like creating videos and creating content for you guys. That is why I've been a little bit scatty around my social media, but also on like in here in YouTube. And honestly, the only thing that I have to say about the move in general is that when I die, if hell really exists and I have to go to hell, I know that my personal hell is gonna be having to unpack and pack things like constantly and for the rest of my life. That is how I know that hell exists, because that is single-handedly the worst thing that you could do to me. I hate it. That is, it just shiver me timbers. I hate it. I can't. Now, getting into the video review and starting with the summary, Madonna in a Fur Coat is about Raif, who is the main character, and is a young Turkish man who moves to Berlin for some time in order to learn the language, to learn German, and also to learn soap trade, or the business of soap trade, as a way to get all this knowledge or gather all this knowledge and move back to Turkey, back home, to take care of his father's business. But obviously things never go right within the books that I usually read. So basically, once he moves to Berlin, we realize that Raif, the main character, is literally good to nobody, right? He is the kind of person that has no intentions, that has no desire to follow his life or to have any sort of goals or personal goals, and just lives his life in a limbo between things that he wants to do or the things that he's expected to do. Also, at the same time, he is the kind of person that doesn't really fit in any environments or any social groups. So he finds himself usually being by himself and being just this kind of introspective, sort of solitary people, until one day he is visiting a contemporary modern art museum, and he falls in love with a portrait of a woman in a fur coat. And obviously he becomes obsessed, and he visits this museum every single day, hour after hour. He literally just wastes his time just looking at this portrait because he's obsessed with the girl and the painting itself, right? Until one day he meets his Madonna in a Fur Coat, as he calls her, and it's literally the artist that created the painting that is a self-portrait, and quickly become entangled, both of them, the artist Maria and Raif, into like this sort of weird situationship slash soul lovers. Very weird. The relationship is very strange, but basically the main point of the story is that he finds his own purpose, or his purpose in life, which is meeting this Madonna in a fur coat, but also getting to know her and becoming something with her. The plot twist in this book is also the fact that Maria knows Rife because obviously he has been walking around and wandering around the museum and just literally staying in front of the portrait for hours, that he is recognized by other artists, especially Maria herself. And he is so obsessed and so focused in the painting that he doesn't realize that she's walking around the museum, and she literally just straight up one time sits next to him to talk with him, right? Because she's also curious and low-key obsessed about him and his obsession with her own portrait, right? And then after meeting accidentally in the streets or like around the streets, she quickly becomes obsessed with him as well. So it's like a two-way obsession, but there is this big great wall between them, and it's the fact that none of them want to be in the kind of relationships that the other expects. So Rive wants to be in this sort of long-term marriage type of relationship, whereas Maria doesn't want that. She wants to be in a friendship type of relationship because she knows that with all the experiences that she has had with men, she realizes that men only want one thing, and they have this idealistic like this idea of her, which is like very manic pixie dream girl, and like she doesn't want to break the fantasy by having sex with Rive and having sex with someone who she is really connected with emotionally. I don't want to give any more details about the book because obviously, first of all, it is tiny, so you can read it at any time, but also because I don't want to give any spoilers, so I will go into the discussion. And generally, I think this book has so much source, even though it's like 120 pages long maximum, and like generally it's so tiny, it just has so much that we can talk about. And I want to focus specifically into things, or into main topics, which is loneliness, but also the type of relationship that both Rive and Maria have, because I think that is where the source of the book is. And I think, like, I've been looking at reviews and discussions about this book, and obviously everyone mentions the loneliness that they both feel and how they encounter each other. But the one thing that they don't mention is that I firmly believe that both Maria and Rive are the same person. They are literally two different faces of the same coin. Starting with Rive, I have to be honest, and I personally did not like him. First of all, I think he is relatable, don't get me wrong, and sometimes I was like, yeah, I think I don't like him because I relate to him, but I just did not like him as a character, and I think it's made on purpose. And I did not like him because he is the sort of person that genuinely just walks around life with no purpose, with no intentions, and like he is stuck in a limbo, right? He's always either, oh, I want to do these kind of things, or I have these ideas, or I have this interest, but I always sort of abandon it because I have no passion and no desire, or I have to do these other things of what society and my parents expect me to do, just because that is what it is expected from me. Because obviously he has two sisters, so he's the man of the house, or like the next man in the generation apart from his father, so he is expected to follow along his father's business, right? So that's why he moves to Germany, to Berlin, in order to learn about the trade and then just become the soap trade expert. But like he does absolutely nothing. He doesn't follow his dreams, but also doesn't follow what is expected from him because he doesn't want to do either. Like he's just literally standing there like a lemon in between the two lines, right? And it's the same thing with Maria as well, because like even though we see that she has the dream to become a painter, right, which is something that she has mentioned, or that she mentions in the book, we see that she paints one portrait and then nothing else is mentioned about her being a painter or her being interested in painting. It's like, oh yeah, I just do this on the side whilst I do like whilst I work in a cabaret. Like that is just the only thing that we know about her passion and interest, right? Which I think it's already like, it already shows me that Rife as a narrator is not very reliable, because he is not interested in Maria as a person, right? He is interested as Maria as this idea, this money pixie dream girl. Like generally, I think Maria is such the epitome of manic pixie dream girl, because like we love the idea, or like Rife loves the idea of her and like how unattainable she is and how like magical she is, but we don't know her. Like we generally do not know what are her interests, or we don't know what are her long-term goals, or what is happening around her life, or who are her friends. We don't know anything about her. We only know like what Rife feels about her. I have mentioned earlier that I believe that Maria and Rife are literally the same coin but different faces, right? Because I genuinely think it's true. If I look into the book, or whilst I was reading the book, the only thing that I was thinking is these two are the same people. They are the same people but different gender, right? And this is the difference. We see the same type of mistakes or like defaults, right? But the execution is different because like Rife is a man and Maria is a woman, right? So when I think about it, the things that they have in common is, first of all, they both have trouble with like fitting into gender norms or into what society expects them to be. So obviously Rife, he seems very feminine and he seems very in tune. He seems to be very in tune with his emotions, right? We see how he's very sensitive and he cried easily as a child, but also how everyone said you might as well be a woman, or you should have been a woman instead of a man because you're so sensitive and you're so girlish. Whereas for Maria, how I view her is that she is the kind of like, if I see Maria's behavior as a gender neutral thing, I would say that she feels more masculine to me, because she's very detached. She is not afraid of being aggressive, and like she has this sort of leadership type of energy, right? Which obviously, if we think about it in the grand scheme of things, there are no psychology traits that are naturally feminine or masculine, because at the end of the day, gender is a spectrum. Well, first of all, it's not a spectrum, but also it's a social construct. So obviously, it doesn't matter what kind of personality traits you have, because at the end of the day, we don't really care about gender here, right? But how I view it societal, like socially wise, is the fact that I view Maria as this kind of masculine type of girl or type of woman, right? Which I think it makes a lot of sense, and I understand why they both are interested in each other, because they really balance each other out. The other thing that I also see that they have in common is the fact that both of them don't really know what they are doing in their lives, right? They are just literally living rent-free in this world. They have no professional goals. They have no intentions of working hard in order to get their things. They just live by, right? They don't even care about the future. They are just doing their own things and just living around Berlin, right? Which I think it could be just Rife or like the way Rife presents Maria, but that's how, like, that's all the information that we have. And the last thing that I think they have in common is the fact that they are extremely lonely. But they are extremely lonely because of their own fault. So first of all, yes, I do agree that they are more prone to loneliness because of their character and because of the fact that they don't really fit into society standards, which is like obviously Rife being feminine and Maria being more masculine, and also because they literally are nitties. They are nitties. So yeah, I do understand that they don't really fit into society, but then also at the same time, I think they are lonely because of one thing, and it's the one central key part that unites them both, and it's the fact that they hate themselves. I know it sounds crazy, but let me kick and let me tell you why do I think that the thing that they have in common and that unites them is the fact that they hate themselves. So I will use Rife as an example, okay? We know from the get-go that Rife is not accepted. He is not loved. He is not... his co-workers think that he's stupid, that he is literally a Dumbo. His family, or like his wife and his children, right? They only view him as someone who brings the money in, right? Also, when we get into his diary, we see that his family considers him a stranger because like they don't really care about him. They literally are just tolerating him because he is family, but they don't really like him or they don't really get to know him. Also, he doesn't even know himself, right? He knows that he has certain interests, but he doesn't really put the effort into work on those interests or do his own thing. He's just over here existing, right? So I feel like all his experiences with everyone around him is like he understands that people put no value in him, so therefore he doesn't put the value in himself. So he thinks that he has absolutely nothing to offer, which is low-key true, but that is not the point of the story. But I feel like he hates himself because he knows or he thinks that he is not valuable, so therefore he doesn't understand that people can love him. Whereas for Maria, for example, I think she hates herself because, first of all, she doesn't fit into society standards, again, like Rife, because she's very masculine, but also because of her life, right? So obviously her father passes away and then she becomes like a cabaret singer, sort of. I don't know exactly what she is. But yeah, she is very much lonely. She has a mother, but like her mother is not even in the picture. She's just like over there existing, right? So it's just like I think she hates herself, or she believes that she's not worth it because no one stays in her life or no one stays with her. Like her mom just goes to Prague, her father passes away, all the clients that she has are literally just people that want her sexually, and then all the men, like everything that she mentions about men are literally like is literally just very temporary and just very much with one intention in mind, which is getting sexual favors from her, right? Or like they have this interest in her, but then it just like fades away once she gives them what they want, which is sex. So I think Maria genuinely hates herself because she has been truly lonely, or she has like this sort of idea that everyone will abandon her like one way or another. Getting into the analysis, obviously we have talked about the things that both Rife and Maria have in common, but we haven't talked about the things that differentiate them. And I would say that this is the thing that genuinely makes the book or makes the story finish the way it finishes, and it's the way they treat their own self-hatred and their own loneliness and what they expect from these loneliness and these behaviors. So obviously they both have this sense of this feeling of I don't belong here, or I am by myself, everyone else is a stranger, even my family is a stranger to me, right? But how I view it is that, right, for example, when we see the expression of his own loneliness, he views it as oh, I haven't found that person to be with, right? Or I haven't found my other half, or I just need to find someone who who I can be lonely with, right? Whereas for Maria, I feel like it's a very much like self-fulfilled prophecy, or like Pygmalion effect type of thing, right? Where we see Maria literally doing everything she can in order to be lonely again. She literally tries to push Rife as much as she can because like she wants to prove herself that she is meant to be lonely, right? We see it in the way, like in the idea or the extremely idealistic view of love that she has, which is like it has to be grandiose, it has to be like intense and like almost toxic, and she needs to be proved that she is loved, right, in this grandiose effect, which at the end of the day Rive does, because when Maria is ill, he takes care of her, like he takes care of her, and he's obsessed with her being like not ill anymore. Whereas for Rive, I think he's just there because, or like he takes care of her not only because he loves her in some sort of way, but because he hasn't found anyone who is as similar as he is, and he is obsessed with her because she has the same feelings or the same sort of psyche that he has. So therefore he views her as like this perfect creature that he's obsessed with, because like she sees him and she knows him and she understands his mindset, where at the end of the day it's not that she understands him, it's just that she is him. As a quick conclusion for the whole review, what I would say is that the main point of this book is the way that loneliness hits different to people, right? We see how some people like try to fight this loneliness and try to find someone who makes them less lonely, whereas some other people are so chronically lonely that they just think that they deserve this loneliness, and they try to get away from people, or from people that want to be with them, in order to prove themselves, or to prove to themselves that they deserve to be lonely, or that is the way that it should be, right? So it's just, I would say that the main point of the story is that there are many facets of loneliness and self-hatred. And then when it comes to my own opinion of the book, obviously I have talked about me not liking Rive, but just because I didn't like him doesn't mean that I didn't like the book, because I think Rive is meant to be disliked, or at least that's how I view him, because honestly he was just useless. But well, so was Maria. Like I would say that none of the characters are perfect, which is why, like, this is why I love this book so much. And generally I was reading this book, like I was almost finishing the book on the tube on my way to work, and I was like trying not to bawl my eyes out, because I was just like so emotional about the whole story, and like him like finding her and then her being obsessed with him, and like it was just so like tragically romantic, which is my favorite genre of romance. Like I want to suffer with books, right? I want a romance so tragic that I want to feel bad for the people, or like I want to feel bad for the characters, as I said in The Idiot, in my review of The Idiot by Dostoevsky. And oh my god, I'm just getting emotional just by thinking about it, right? Because like this book is just so beautiful. I wish, like, I kind of feel like Maria at this moment, because I wish there was someone who loved me so intensely as Rive loves her. And even though it didn't end as I expected, or not as I expected, because I expected a bad ending as fucking always, right? But like I wished that something good happened for them, but obviously life is miserable, so at the end of the day we don't deserve good endings. But yeah, I remember I was reading the last 2 pages and I was like, you're fucking joking, you're telling me that this is how this book ends? Fuck you, right? But I was just like, oh, so good. Honestly, this book is easily one of my top 5s ever, not from this year, ever. That is all for today, guys. Again, apologies for not posting this video on Monday, but obviously I was busy with the move, so I genuinely could not record. But yeah, I hope you like this video, and I hope you read Madonna in a Fur Coat, because honestly, this is so good, and I am obsessed with this book and with Sabatin Ali. And if you have any like tragic romance recommendations, please put them in the comments. I want to read more of those, like White Knight, The Idiot, and Madonna in a fur coat again. Again, also at the same time, if you want to see more content or more book related content, please make sure that you follow me on my social media, on my TikTok, on my Instagram. I also have Red Note, so you can also follow me there as well. And yeah, thank you so much for your patience. I hope you like this video, and thank you for watching the video as well. I'll see you next week, hopefully on Monday, if I finish unpacking, because this, like, you would not believe how much shit I have around. But yeah, I hope you like this video, and I'll see you next week, and have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. Bye guys.